Hello everyone. Hi, my name is Hayley Lorimer. I'm Director of Membership Services at the FMB, and I'd like to welcome you to this FMB webinar that's being recorded on the 5th of January 2021. Happy New Year, and thank you for joining us today. I hope everybody watching is well. I'm really pleased to be hosting this particular webinar. FMB's delivered many webinars over the past few months since the first lockdown in March, and most of them have included some really important advisory information for members, which has been useful, but dare I say it, a bit less exciting than this particular webinar. And one of my first jobs at the FMB very many years ago was preparing awards entries for regional judging panels back in the day, and I was lucky enough to visit quite a lot of the award-winning entries in the southern region at that time, which was fascinating, and as well as meeting the winning clients and builders as well. And I've always thought that the Master Builder Awards is one of the best things that the FMB does, because it celebrates our members' work and their fantastic achievements, the work that they do day in, day out throughout the year. So fantastic to be here today. But before we get started, I'd like to thank our main award sponsors, who are Isuzu, for their support, which helps us to make this the high-profile awards programme that it is. And I also want to thank and introduce our speakers for today. First of all, we're going to have my colleague Laura Marshall, who's the FMB's events manager, who's going to take us through the timeline and the process for entering the awards and give you those all-important deadlines that you need to be aware of. And then we have Donna O'Toole, who's the Chief Exec of the awards consultancy August, who have helped hundreds of businesses to prepare award-winning entries for prestigious awards programs and to raise their profile and reap the benefits of that. So I'm looking forward to hearing the trade secrets that Donna's going to share with us later. Then finally, we'll have Ross Malone, who's an FMB member from the London region, who's going to share his hints and tips. He was the winner with his company Orchestrate Limited of the small renovation category in the last awards that we ran. So that will also be interesting. And we have a packed programme for you today. If you have any questions or comments during the webinar, just pop them into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen there, and we'll discuss those at the end. We aim to complete the webinar within about 45 minutes, and you'll receive a follow-up email with links to the information about the awards on the website, etc. afterwards. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over, first of all, to Laura Marshall. Over to you, Laura.
Hi everyone, and thanks Hayley. I thought we'd go through the entry timeline and the process just before going into the main part of the webinar. I wanted to give you an overview of how it will all look. First step, obviously, is to start your nomination. We'll share a link to tips on preparing an entry and other useful information, such as our FAQs and a photography guide in the post-webinar email, so please do take a look. One of the key things to note is that you'll need permission from your clients or the individuals you're nominating before entering the awards. So that is the real starting point. Make sure you have that. Then check the eligibility criteria. You might have the best project, but if it's not eligible, then we won't be able to win your entry. So with the eligibility, you do need to read all the T's and C's before submitting your entry, and you need to agree to them. I've just picked out a few key highlights that I think are really good to note. I am going to be around at the end of this webinar that Hayley mentioned. We'll be doing Q&A. So if you have any questions about eligibility, just let me know. So any nominated project must have been completed between the 1st of January 2019 and the 1st of January 2021. All work must have been wholly completed by a master builder. Nominations for Trade Person of the Year and Apprentice Award can be made directly by clients, colleagues, fellow FMB members or training providers, as well as yourselves if they work within your business. However, the apprentice or the tradesperson being nominated must have worked for a master builder company within the last 2 years, so do keep that in mind. And nominations for Building Company of the Year must highlight the achievements and challenges that the company has faced within the last 2 years as well. So really try and keep them topical. If there's a brilliant project that you've just, about to finish and you're really keen to enter it, unfortunately it won't be eligible, but do keep it for next time because we will definitely want to see it. Next step is to Obviously, the most important step is to get your entry in on time. We have just extended the deadline to the 29th of January, so you've got an extra 2 weeks to make sure you're in the running. On our webpage is a step-by-step guide on how to submit a nomination. It goes through all the different steps, including logging into the website, selecting the right nomination form, uploading high-quality images, and how to review and edit your entry. The great thing is edits can be made right up until the deadline date. So if your client just suddenly pings you a brilliant testimonial, you've already submitted your entry and you think that would be great to add, you just go to my FMB and my award entries and log it there, and you can change anything right up until the 29th of January. So the next step on my little timeline is to remember to book your tickets for your local ceremony. The Regions and Devolved Nations ceremonies will be taking part virtually this year in May and June. I'm sure I don't need to explain to you all why they're going virtual, but we really want to see all of you there celebrating the winning of all the other members, and hopefully, fingers crossed, yourselves. All the dates are on screen now for all the different regions, and they'll open for booking in late January. And finally, the National Awards ceremony will be held on the 24th of September, where all the winners from the devolved nations and regions will battle it out to win the national category and ultimately see who's crowned the overall Master Builder of the Year. That lucky winner will drive away with that brand new Isuzu pickup truck worth £36,000. So really worth being in the running for that. So unlike most awards, it is free to enter as one of your membership benefits. So please do enter multiple categories, multiple projects, multiple people. There is no cap. So I had a few questions about, can I do that? Of course, as many as you like. I think that's all from me now. I'm going to hand over to Donna. As I mentioned before, I'm around at the end of the webinar to answer any questions, and I can't wait to hear Donna's tips.
Thank you very much, Laura. That's brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. Happy New Year. I hope your new year is starting off on the right foot. I know it's very, very challenging for everybody at the moment, but we've got some real positivity here to share and some really good ways to help boost your business and your team and morale in the coming year. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to share my screen for you so that we can share my presentation. And I'm going to go through just a very short sort of 15-minute presentation with you to help you with tips, examples, and really ways to do it and ways not to do it with your award entries to help you get going on those and get you started. As Laura said, the deadline's been extended, so you've got plenty of time for this now. And well, as I was just saying, actually, now not moving around quite so much, maybe a little bit more time than usual. So just to reiterate, obviously I'm it says on here awards expert. No one wants to say that about themselves, do they? But so we help global brands and businesses from small to very, very large to win awards and keep their profile high, keep them at the top of their industry or raise them up to the top of their industry to help them to keep their business flowing and to keep their teams happy and to advertise themselves and all the wonderful things that awards do for you. And that really works. The principles for awards are the same across all awards. So it doesn't matter if you think, well, is it the same in this industry or what could we add to for builders, for Master Builders Awards? The principles are going to be the same. So I can take you through those today in a way that will help to improve your chances of winning the awards that you enter. And I hope you will be entering the Federation of Master Builders Awards. So first of all, then just a little bit of context. So you may be thinking, well, writing award entry sounds a bit like hard work to me. I'm not really sure I should bother here. We've done as well as we have up until now. Or you might be thinking, yeah, this is brilliant. We do it every year, but we never seem to win. Why is that? Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So lots of tips to help you win. But first of all, I think if you can help kind of bring home the fact that this award could really supercharge your business through the social proof that it can give you. And now more than ever, customers are looking for you online. That's where they are. So having this badge to say that you're a master builder and you've won an award, would be super valuable. And that external recognition that you get is not just you advertising. It's not you saying, hey, look, we're great, and some of our customers say we're great. It's actually, it's feedback from the industry. It's credibility that can be brought to you from, you know, that kind of level of external recognition that you're not going to get elsewhere. Now, that credibility in itself builds trust, so that those people who are interested in working with you, interested in employing you, interested in getting some work done, you know, maybe they're even just, you know, need a bit of a tip over the edge to go for it, will, you know, the credibility that builds the trust will help them to connect with you and want you to be the person who helps them with their work this year. In turn, that trust builds brand loyalty, and that brand loyalty builds your business. So there's a lot of positives that can happen out of winning awards, and you just got to make a bit of effort at this end, either to do it yourself or to just make the step towards it, to say, actually, we're going to go for it this year. So in my presentation, I'm going to go through today how to identify your award-winning unique selling point, something that often I think is missed, and something that can really help you to tip over the edge into that winning, past that winning post. I should also say actually that I'm a judge on many international awards, and I help lots of awards programs to organize their criteria, etc. And I can tell you, I have judged thousands and thousands of award entries over the years, and it's really understanding what your unique selling point is for awards that will help you to get over the edge and into the winning arena. So how to choose a winning category, I'm going to talk a bit about that, because that can make the difference between winning and not winning, which category you're choosing. How to write an outstanding story. So this is about really engaging with the judges, getting them to feel something about your work, getting them to believe in you, getting them to want you to win. Actually, you want to get the judges behind you to want you to win. So to show you how you can do that with an outstanding story. How to present your evidence. Evidence is that thing that everyone sort of forgets about, but actually is super important. So I'm going to help you to do that. And also how to impress the judges so that they remember you. Okay, so if you've got any questions, and this is your time to have questions, because this is a great opportunity. You've got a lot of people on this webinar who can really help you with your entry. Please put them in the Q&A box, and we'll come to those at the end of the webinar. Please don't be shy. I don't think there's an awards question I've ever not been able to answer, or I haven't been asked. So, and also the chances are, if you're thinking it, someone else is thinking it too. So you could really help everybody by asking your question. Okay, so first things first, what is your award-winning unique selling point, your award-winning USP? Okay, so this is the thing that's going to make you stand out. This is the thing that's going to separate the wheat from the chaff, if you like. What you need to do in order to find your unique selling point is to think, now you've got a wide period of time for entering these awards. You've got between 2019 all the way through to now. For your projects to have been completed in. Now, you may have multiple projects during that time, or you may have just one key project that you've spent a lot of time on. Obviously, everyone's in a slightly different boat there. But what you need to think about is a couple of things. So, which initiatives, which projects have you done that have created really good commercial results for you as a business? They've created really good results for the customers, obviously, and especially with this award, and you've got some great photos for as well, and they have been completed. And then you need to make the links between the actions that you've taken. So what is it that you need to do? All the nitty-gritty details, the achievements that you made. So any challenges that you've overcome, any hurdles you've had to jump over, anything new or different or innovative that hasn't been done before, new materials used, new designs, you know, what is it? A new answer to an old problem, perhaps. And then the results of that. So what's been the outcome? What has your customer felt about it? What have you felt about it? What difference has it made to perhaps the community, if it's not just a single dwelling or for an individual? You know, what are those actual results? And if you can make the links between those, it will help you to choose the project that you need to put forward. You may have multiple projects, and you've got the opportunity with all the different categories to apply in different categories as well. But the thing about thinking about what's had a good commercial impact, as well as what's had a good impact on your customer, is if it's had a good commercial impact, obviously it's working. It's something you'd repeat again. It's something that you could demonstrate to others as a role model. You know, sometimes people do, you know, great things, but actually there's no kind of commercial result there for them. And actually it's not something they would repeat again, but it kind of looked nice. So you've got to be able to make a really standout argument for why you would consider a project and how it's given back to your organization, what you've given to it, and then how it's made an impact on the customer. So just think about making those links between the actions, the achievements, and the results there in order to help you find your unique selling point. Okay, because it's going to be different to everybody else. The next thing that you need to do is you need to think about getting in the right race. Okay, this is to select your winning category. Now, I'd say probably, I'd say almost 50% of the awards that I judge often don't win because they were in the wrong category. Had they been in a different category, their story could have won. So think carefully about getting in the right race. So one little example here that I just want to share with you. So we've got Usain Bolt and Mo Farah, both great runners. I'm sure you all agree. I don't think we can argue with that. Now, if there was an award out there in the world for just best runner, who's the best runner, how would you choose between these two? What would make the difference for you to think, okay, well, it has to be this one, it has to be this one? Because I can tell you that Usain's average speed when he's running is 27 miles per hour and Mo's is 17 miles per hour. Would that be the thing that made the difference for you? Well, it wouldn't be for me, because if I was judging a category that said fastest runner, then obviously I would choose Usain. But if I was choosing a category that said longest distance, then I would choose Mo. So it's all about, these guys, they don't put themselves in a race that they know they're not going to win. That's why you don't see them competing with each other. Okay, so think about who you're going to be competing against and think about how well you fit the category and how they fit the category and what you've got to offer in that category and how you can really demonstrate yourself as standing out in that category. So there's lots of different types of categories. So for example, you've got small renovation, you've got very individual projects like bathroom project, you've got tradesperson, you've got house builder. So, where do you fit best and where can you really demonstrate yourself as better than the competition there? And that may be with a real standout project that you've got from the last year or so. That may be with multiple standout projects. That may be because you can demonstrate the impact that those projects have had, perhaps on the community or on a supplier or customer. Think about where you can make those links to make sure you're in the right race in the first place, okay? The other thing I'd say about that, which is relevant, is don't just copy and paste your entry across from one category to another category, because your entry should be focusing on the very specific category that you're entering if you're going to give yourself the best chance of winning. So if you write one entry for one category and then you just don't even change it and you just apply it to everything else, you're not going to fit those quite so well. So some time and love and care needs to be spent in thinking about how well you're focusing your entry on each category that you're writing for. Something, one project may be looking for different kind of evidence to another project, and different kind of photographic evidence as well. Okay, so then once you've actually chosen a category, you need to create a winning story. So for this, I would suggest that you use the category as a kind of theme for your story and you stick to it. It's very, very easy to go off onto a tangent and start talking about one thing and you're all on track and then you go off on another thing. So one of the good things that you can do is, if you're writing your own entry, is to look at the criteria for that category. You could even print it out and then highlight the criteria, or just highlight the category name even to make it stick in your head. And then as you're going through, think about who, what, why, where, and how. So think about, who was involved in the project? Was it a team? Was it an individual? Did you have to bring people in? What did they actually do? So what are the actions that were taken in that process, and why? Why did they do it? What was the challenge that they were helping the customer to overcome? Or what was the problem that they were fixing? Where was the solution? So why was it being done? Or perhaps if it was a project that it wasn't, to overcome a challenge, it might have been something that was for a very positive and exciting reason. Where did this happen? So, give us some context about the surroundings as well, because that could make a difference to, why you were doing what you were doing and the choices that you made when you were doing it as well. And then how you actually did it. So what actually happened during that process? So include all of those within and look for those keywords. But one thing I would say to you is, be real, because the the judges want a story, and they want to hear from you in a way that engages with them and makes them think, wow, I'd have liked to have been part of that, or I'd like that. I'd love them to do that for me, and make them really connect to you and engage with you about, the whole process. If you go too far down into the nuts and bolts of what you did and why you did it, they're not looking for a step-by-step instruction manual so they can go and repeat the process. They're looking for all the purpose behind it. They're looking for the bigger picture and for the impact that it was having. So, and all of those things will connect you to them and connect their feelings. And at the end of the day, it's feelings that drive behavior. So from a judge's perspective, if you make me feel really good about your project and you make me think, wow, I would really love them to do that for me, or I would really love to be involved, or wow, it must have been great to have been a member of that team, or it must be great to work for that business, then I'm far more likely to give you my stamp of approval than if you give me a 10-step nitty-gritty breakdown of exactly what you did and what how you did it, as if it was a repeatable project. That's interesting, but it's not going to make me engage with you and connect with you. So think about the balance of what's going into your story and if it would really connect with someone. The other thing that you can do to kind of test that is to try it out. So, write your story and write it how you would talk, write it out. You could even record it yourself if you wanted to, and then listen back to it. But write it as you would talk, and then read it out to, someone at home or a colleague, and see what they think about it. See if they think it sounds engaging, and listen to their feedback. The other thing that's really important is using evidence to back up your claims. So I've got some examples here, but I will reiterate that one of the most important parts of evidence in this particular awards program is photographic evidence. Now, when you're thinking about the photographs that you've either got or you need to get for your project, then think about, again, how you're going to use those photographs to connect with the judges and make them feel really excited by your project, make them see the big impact of your project. If you go around taking photos of all the different materials and processes that you did, then they're not really going to engage in it. They want to see the big picture. They want to see, what the outcome was and really engage them in that. So it's worth investing in some good photography for that, with great lighting if you can, because we all know that anything visual speaks louder to anybody than anything in words, doesn't it? At the end of the day, that's why we're all, we all click on things online and we go on social media and we all look at the images. So a strong image will take you a long way. So do think about that in your preparation. But when you're doing your writing as well, think about how you can include evidence to back up your claims, because any award entry that has, or business or individual that's gone to the trouble of including evidence in their award entry so that it really makes it unarguable for the judges what they've done, will really help their entry to progress. So this is an example taken from a different award, but the principle is the same. So the first one says, our business is the best in the industry. We have created incredible results from our innovative initiatives, and our newest product has flown off the shelves. So this might be someone who was going for a big overall type award, like, the house builder type thing. You're not really telling me anything as a judge there. That's a lot of hot air, I would think. There's no proof, there's no evidence, there's not really anything that you've hung your hat on, other than saying that you're great. So that would really get dismissed, sentences like that. However, if you say something where you can include some evidence in, that's really going to help and support your argument. So if you can say something like, again, just an example, but our business now services 58% of the market, making us the industry leader. We have grown by 18% year on year, with new product sales creating 10% of our revenue in the last 12 months. Joe Blogg says, and that would be a customer testimonial. Now you can see it's not a very long sentence, but just from this, sorry, I've got a notification saying I've been signed out, so I'm hoping that's not the case. Just from this, you can see that I now know, as a judge, I know the market share of your business, which is really helpful. I know where you're sitting in that market, so I've got some kind of context when I'm judging you. I can see where you've grown, so that's really good to know as well, because at the end of the day, if you're doing something well, you're likely to grow. And I can see then, you know, what's happened for you along the way as well. So that's, you know, really helpful if you can include where you can include evidence. Also, a customer testimonial says a lot. So, you know, do include a real customer testimonial if you possibly can. If you haven't got one already, then go get one. You've got enough time. And a big tip for getting a customer testimonial is don't ask your customer to write it. Send them a suggested testimonial and ask them to agree with it. You're far more likely to get an email back saying, yeah, that's fine, go ahead, than you are someone to sit down and think, oh, what should I write? I really don't know what they want me to say. And then you never quite get it in return. So go get those customer testimonials, but you might need to write them first, or get them on the phone, or get them on a Zoom chat, or, you know, and just say to them, you know, I'd love to include something from you just to say what an impact the project had on you. So, and actually record what they say. So, you know, or take an extract from what they say. So that can be a simpler way of getting a testimonial than suggesting someone provide you with one when they think they've got far more busy and important things to be doing than that. Another, just some general award entry writing tips, really. Be honest. I surprise myself that I have to say that, but I do. And I read award entries that literally make me laugh out loud sometimes. So we can tell, us judges, if you're not being honest. So please do be honest. Otherwise, you know, if someone tries to test your theory or your statement, then you might come unstuck. And in that, think about where you are representing yourself online as well. So if you have a website, you have social media, you know, make sure if you're saying one thing in your entry, you're not saying something that's completely opposite on all of that chat as well. Keep it simple. So remember, yes, you know, you have to manage some very complex scenarios, materials, processes, all sorts, but when a judge is reading your award entry, they don't need to go down into that complexity. So if you are using jargon that your judges might not understand immediately or connect with, you know, that you're just going to distance them from your entry and they're not going to engage with it. So try and keep it simple. Try and imagine you were explaining to your granny what you'd done and why it was exciting and why it was brilliant and why the customer was happy. Think of it that way. Not that I'm suggesting that the judges are like your granny, but if you keep it simple to start with, you can always build in a bit of extra evidence and things. But if you are too complex, too niche, and too full of jargon and acronyms and trade names and things, then it's not really going to connect with anybody. The other thing is to choose facts over cliches. So this is something that is another something that comes up really often in award entries, where people think, oh, I've heard this great saying, I'll add that in there. It doesn't really mean anything. I'd rather hear your very authentic and real story than some cliche that you heard on The Apprentice. So here's an example. The first one says, and to be fair, I don't think, you know, you'd have too many of these, but just to give you a warning that they stand out like a sore thumb in your award entries if you do. So this one says, in a paradigm shift, we bit the bullet, we thought outside the box to synergize with our team, break down the silos and do more with less. The net result was win-win. Tells me nothing. I just think that I'm in an episode of The Apprentice. However, if you say something really clear, like we improved the customer and employee experience by training and developing a specialist customer service team, within 12 months, this initiative resulted in outstanding customer and employee feedback, 20% growth in sales. Relate that to you. You know, what have you done to improve the process? What have you done to improve your service? You know, have you put something in place where your customers could contact you more easily? Have you put something in place where they could, you know, find out more about your work and follow you more easily? What is it that you've done that's made things better, essentially, without using any cliches? So I'll end on this slide, which is quality counts. Now, even Shakespeare had a proofreader. So don't get too attached to your words. Don't think, you know, oh, I've written this and it must be brilliant because I think so. Share it with people around you and get them to check it for you. Never submit your first written draft. That's kind of a rule that my team have to stick to, and they do write award entries every single day, because it will never ever be your best version ever. You can always improve it. You've got time to go back on it, to what I say, let it breathe. So, you know, get something down to start with, but then move away from it, let it breathe, and give it a couple of days space, because when you come back to it, that's when you'll be able to see how to edit it, what needs to change, what could be improved, where you've perhaps missed something, where something is a bit tricky to understand. And then read your entry out loud. And you'll find that in there, if there's areas where you stumble, that's what needs to change. That's where you need to make some edits. Okay. So these are very, very basic kind of writing tips and advice for your award entries. You can add tools on to your browsers as well, like Grammarly, which will do a free spelling, grammar, and vocabulary check for you. But essentially, for me, I would say it's about being engaging in your story more than anything, and then backing that up with some really key photographs that bring it to life. That's going to be your main challenge, and that's what you need to really focus on doing to give yourself the best chance of winning. So thank you for listening. So I'll leave you with this little quote. I think isn't quite cool, from Ziglar. You're born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. And that's what we want for all of you as well. So I have my contact details here. If anyone needs any support, then please feel free to get in touch with me. I've only got a few weeks now, so you need to do that sooner rather than later. And some of our lovely clients here. If you do want any help, then we're giving a special discount in January for anyone on this webinar. So do feel free to get in touch. And I think that brings me to the end, Hayley. So shall I unshare my screen?
Brilliant. Thank you, Donna. Thank you so much for all of those insights. That's been absolutely fascinating. I'm sure that the members watching will feel inspired to give it a go and enter the awards this time around if they haven't done it before. We do know there's quite a lot of members out there who haven't dipped a toe in the water yet with the award, but would potentially like to do so. So this is, I'm sure,
this is a good moment to do it.
Exactly. So that's brilliant. And we know that most of our members who join the FMB, the reason that they join our organisation is because they want that additional credibility for their business and for consumers to have that trust in them. And I think what you're talking about with your earlier slides was about winning the Master Builder Awards gives them that credibility with bells on, really, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I think what's probably important to say at this stage as well with the awards industry as a whole, and why it's become so important. In the last year, obviously, the whole COVID situation has had a huge impact on everybody in one way or another. And some businesses have grown through it, some businesses have fallen apart through it. You know, there's been an impact on everybody in one way or another. In the awards industry, just so that people know, if you are thinking, well, what's kind of going on? Is this the right time? I don't know how I feel about entering awards right now. We're in a lockdown. I'll give you a bit of an overview of how that's what we've seen coming out of it. Is last year, all the awards organisations, and like yourselves have done, pivoted to online ceremonies, and they were so successful, so successful, because they gave instant PR to people who were attending them, basically. And actually, all the awards organisations, we work with many awards organisations across the country, actually reported back that they'd had more entries than they'd ever had in any other year last year, which you may find surprising, based on everything. But there's a few reasons for that. One of the reasons is now more than ever, people need to be motivated. They need to be driven forward. They need something to help them to, raise morale and bring back that team spirit and celebrate what they've achieved over the year, So there was a lot of drive for entering and winning awards based on raising that team morale. I had people who were running their own business, as I'm sure many of your members do, call me up after winning awards. And I had one guy actually call me up and say, this has actually changed my life. And he said, because when you're running your own business, you don't get a lot of validating of your ideas. You don't get, you get to be involved in great associations like these, but you're often questioning yourself. You're often thinking, well, should I have done that? I just don't know. Is that the right place to put my resources, whatever? And actually winning awards, even becoming a finalist, actually, you don't even have to win to get this impact. even becoming a finalist starts to make a big impact on your business. But it starts to make a big impact on you as well. And as a leader, it inspires you. It gives you that knowledge that you're doing the right thing. You're looking after your customers, you're looking after your employees, you're doing the right thing, which helps to drive you forward, which in turn helps to drive your team forward. And the other thing that I would say as well, another impact that we had from last year, because we're all locked down, everyone is buying online, right? Now, I can't buy my house online. Well, you probably can actually, but we're searching online. We're looking more than ever. People are being tasked with go find this developer, go find it online. And those awards logos on your websites have become more valuable than they have ever become. One of our clients last year, we worked with to win an award. They'd never won any awards before. They hadn't entered any awards before. We actually worked with them to win the Queen's Award for Enterprise, which is a huge award. They didn't think for a second they could win it. They did. Within 3 months of putting the logo on their website, their sales had increased by 30%.
Wow.
And they did nothing else. They put a logo on their website. So, you know, a bit of effort now will can deliver a huge impact later.
Wow.
And as I say, that even comes down to becoming a finalist, because suddenly you've got some great news to share with your customers. You've got a reason to put a newsletter out to them. You've got visuals, you know, you can take screenshots, you've got logos to share. Suddenly you've ramped up your marketing and your PR campaigns with some positive news, which is what we all need right now, isn't it? And gives you trust. So obviously I'm in this industry, you know, so I'm going to be positive about it, but I just think it's really important that everyone does whatever they can at the moment to do these positive actions for their business.
Yeah, and as you say, it definitely improves morale and motivation and everything else for your team as well. That's brilliant. We've got also a short video from one of our members, Ross Malone, who was a national winner in one of the categories last year, which I think Tony is going to share with us in a moment. And also, don't forget, if you have got any questions, as Donna said earlier, I'll bet if one of you has a question, there's probably other people out there who would like to know the answer as well. So please help everybody by popping your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll deal with those after we hear from Ross Malone right now.
Hi everyone, I'm Ross Malone, and my company Orchestrate won the small renovation category in 2019 Master Builder Awards. We're a small residential architectural and building practice based in Battersea, London, and we entered 2 projects into multiple categories and walked away with 3 local awards and 1 national award. Before starting the application, we thought about which of our projects were the most interesting to the people who were assessing the awards. We focused on the story and not the build, and once we'd selected our most interesting project, we focused on developing a story to guide the reader through the journey of the project. We were lucky in that our winning project was in a well-known location and used that to set the scene for our entry. So by the end of the second sentence, the reader knows where we are and what we're dealing with. We honestly discussed the way our project was designed and developed jointly with the client and the challenges faced by us during the project. The judges mentioned that they were impressed by the efforts we had gone to keep up with the struggles associated with working in a high-value mansion block and the way we managed to keep neighbours on side throughout the project. We also brought the reader's attention to what we thought were the best aspects of the project. So when they're looking through the photographs, they're looking out for the highlights. I'd say this is well worth doing, as the details don't always jump out of the photo, but it's those details that will win the award. I'd suggest keeping the tone natural, and if you are the best in your category, you don't need to change the way you write or the way you speak. Keep it honest and true to yourself in the project. For this reason, I'd recommend that you write the entry personally rather than outsourcing it. As a company, we value photography, and we spent good money on getting good photographs done of this particular project. I'd go as far as saying that without good photos, there's no chance of winning your category. The photos need to be well taken, with good light and good equipment by a professional photographer. It might seem expensive spending £600 on 5 photos, but it might be the best £600 that you ever spend. The photos that we selected backed up the story that we had developed in the narrative. So if you highlight the joinery in the living room, make sure that you show it in its full glory. I would also suggest that you are present during the photo shoot, clearing, tidying, adding props, etc. And don't rely on the photographer to do all of the work and make it look as good as you can. The more effort that you put in gives you the higher chances of success. So winning the award gives you the opportunity to rise above the competition. You'll be in the last two in a tender, and the fact that you're a prize winner might be enough to get you the project. So if you're cold calling, if you're contacting architects or designers, etc., being able to say that you're the best builder in London is a great icebreaker. Well, good luck, everyone. Look forward to seeing them at the awards, and really happy to help. So if anyone wants to get in touch, my email address is ross@orchestrateltd.com. And I'm sorry I can't do this in person, but with homeschooling, it's a bit difficult to do a live chat. So I'm having to pre-record this, but thank you very much for the opportunity, and best of luck, everyone. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you to Ross, even though he's not here, as he said, he wasn't able to join us this afternoon, but my other speakers, I think, are still here, and we're all ready and waiting to answer any questions that members may have about entering awards that have been prompted by Donna's presentation, or any other thoughts that you have about the awards programme. I can see that we have one question already. Rose has asked, how do you work out a percentage of the market? Where does one start? And I guess that relates back to Donna's slide, where I think you had a quote from someone who was saying they'd increase.
Yeah, that's yeah, and if it's relevant to you, particularly if you're going for one of the bigger awards, I'd say, then it's something you can do. You can actually, if you just Google it, it tells you how to do that for your industry. So it's not actually as complicated as it sounds, but it's not going to, it's not going to make or break an award for you. It's a demonstration of the fact that if you can back up something that you're saying, if you say we're the industry leader, then I'd kind of want a bit more information about that. But if if there is anything you can say to back up what you're saying, then great, do it if you can. I think Ross's video is great, really helpful, and nice to see how he connected what was in the photographs with what was in his narrative as well. So I think that's a really important point. And you need to have, it's obviously a strong competition. You're in a great environment of master builders, so you've got to think of that from the outset. And absolutely, I would agree with him that if you're in a tender, awards will help you win a pitch. So it's really, really vital nowadays to give yourself as much in your armory as you possibly can when you're going into a sales pitch, essentially.
Yeah, I think as well, with our awards, not all of the judges on the judging panel will have construction sector expertise, so they won't necessarily understand the technical aspects of the build, but everybody understands the story, don't they, and that narrative that you've already set out.
And that's what's really important for everyone entering to understand is, and that's why I say, test it on your granny, because you don't make presumptions and assumptions about who you think's on the judging panel and what they're going to be looking for. Write it in a way that anybody could understand it and anybody could appreciate it and engage with it, and you're going to go, much further. We do awards training here, so we train people, and it's a whole day, so there's a lot that you can go into. But it's interesting that something that surprises people often, we do a whole section on writing skills, but is that the best writing in the world is the writing you can read and digest and comprehend and understand most quickly, and that's actually usually on the front page of a tabloid newspaper, because anybody can understand it. And actually, if someone, if a child, from age about 10 upwards can understand your writing, you're doing well. If it's more complex than that, then you need to go back a little step and think, can anybody understand this?
Okay, great. We've got a couple of sort of procedural questions, I guess you might call them. Helen is asking, and this is maybe for Laura to answer, if they've only recently become master builders, can they enter with past projects that they did before they were members of the FMB?
Yes, absolutely. As long as you're a member by the date, by the 1st of January, you are welcome to put in those past projects. You've been already got your badge of quality by entering the FMB. So please, yeah, go ahead and enter them.
Great stuff. So Jeff is also asking about, they are hoping to enter a new build eco home, and there is a special category for such a project, isn't there, which was built for sale as a development project. Is this an acceptable entry as there is no customer apart from the buyer? I think it is, isn't it, Laura?
Absolutely, yeah, that's definitely an eligible project, and you might want to consider doing, you know, the sustainability and maybe some of the other categories that it would be relevant for.
Okay. And I think that's answered all the questions that we actually had. I don't know if either of our speakers has, oh, actually there's a member with her hand up. Oh, no, Carl has asked a question in the chat box. He says that he has in mind a great project that was a collaboration with other building companies who also need a mention. Can this be entered with his company as the overall umbrella company? You did talk about this a bit earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, we do sort of say wholly done by a master builder, because what we wouldn't want to do is have kind of it win and then you not be a master builder as such. So actually technically in the T's and C's it would need to be completed by a master builder. If, for example, you then, the master builder ran the project and then had a subcontractor underneath them that worked for them, but it was your project completely, but you outsourced some of the work, but it was yours, that would be okay because it's ultimately a master builder project. But I think it's having the shared, that, you know, that's a different thing. If it depends how it's structured. If it's your project, then that is fine.
Plus, he could perhaps encourage all the collaborative companies to join the FMB as well, and then we wouldn't have an issue because they'd all be members, which would be great. One of the members attending, which is Fiona, has her hand up, and I believe that I can allow Fiona into the webinar to ask her question. If I can unmute her. I've not done this for a long time, Fiona, so my apologies if I manage to cut you off. So Fiona will be able to come into the webinar and ask her question in a moment, I think. Fiona, are you there? This is exciting, isn't it?
I think Fiona's still on mute.
We can't hear you, Fiona. Do you have a button to press to unmute yourself so that we can hear your question? I don't think that's working, is it, somehow?
Perhaps, Fiona, could you write it in the chat? Oh, Fiona's put her hand down. Maybe you answered it.
Okay.
There is another question in the discussion, though.
Oh, yeah. So someone has asked, with the new member and an old project, will the new member have their site quality checked? So, I mean, I can answer that all new members joining the FMB have an independent inspection of their work carried out before joining. So the answer to that is yes. And there's no reason why that particular project couldn't be submitted as an award entry itself as well. So, yeah, I think that's answered that one. Okay. So, sorry that we weren't able to get Fiona into the webinar. I don't know, technical incompetence perhaps, but never mind. So as Donna has just said, Fiona, if you still have a question for us, you could quickly type it in the Q&A box. We'll try and get to that before the end of the session. But unless either of our other speakers has anything they want to add before we wrap up, it's coming up to 5:20 now. And actually we're competing with the Prime Minister because I believe Boris is addressing the nation again as we speak, but we've managed to keep our audience on board. So obviously we're
more interesting than Boris.
Oh, Fiona's managed to put her question in the Q&A box. I can't find it. Where's it gone?
So Fiona says that her questions regarding photos. If we don't have progress photos, will completed photos be okay?
Absolutely. Completed photos will be perfect. We do try and encourage that you do select quite a few of the completed photos, so they'll be perfect.
Great stuff. Okay, well, we better wrap it up there because it is 5:20 now. So thanks again to all of you for attending today. I hope you found it useful and inspirational. I think it's been a really fascinating webinar, but it's time to draw things to a close now. You will receive a follow-up email, and that will have links to things like Donna's website and any other information that we've mentioned during the webinar. And it just remains to thank Donna and Laura for their input to the webinar today. And good luck with your awards entries, and hope to see you at the awards event in September. So good luck, everybody, and thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.